in this game, I really wanted to show you like the most like 3/4 of the game in this like just game report mode. And I want to show you the last 1/4 down in the regular game, so you can see like what made him do something. I'm not gonna tell you what that something is, but anyways, e4, e5. I'm gonna skip these first moves. These are quite random, and he's defending his pawn like any old person would do. And this wasn't my best idea because it sort of like feels weird, like the queen might like come down to like a6 because the c pawn is sort of weird. It's sort of not weird, sort of weak. It's only guarded by a queen. The c pawn is not guarded at all, and like they're saying it might get pinned. And queen a6 sort of like does the job, but pawn here. And I thought the idea of pawn at d4 is that when I take this pawn, I can now take the b pawn with my queen, and it might look like I'm hanging my knight, but note that there's a rook there, so I'm sort of skewering this queen. So the only move, or the only or one of the only reasonable moves, is queen takes b4, trading queens. And now my knight is just hopping around the board, and it's sort of funny, right? The knight started from b8 and went to c6, then a b4, then a d3, then a f4, then to g6, although it could have hopped at h3, which is a much better square, because not only am I taking advantage of the pawn that is hanging, it's check, meaning he doesn't like have time to like trap my knight or something inside this like sort of like box. So when he responds to check, I can get the heck my knight out of there. So I play knight to g6. Not a horrible move. I'm not losing the game, but as you see, anything can happen. But now something did happen. I played king takes f6 with my king, not my pawn, which I should have done, because now that allows knight to d7 check. And I might be thinking, well, why am I showing this game? It's just embarrassing. Sorry about that. But first I want to show you like a little bit of how to defend, because you can see I'm hanging onto my c pawn and using my knight to defend key squares, and I'm sort of like using this to like hover around this king and give checks when possible. Because you can see that he has 22 seconds right now. I can go back to the point that we were at. He's again trying to get this annoying knight out of there, and I'm staying with the rook because again, you never know, he may like fall to like a fork or something. So again, I'm just sort of hovering around, and knight takes f3 again. He's sort of like falling apart in his 14 seconds left, so he doesn't exactly have a lot of time. In fact, he barely has any time to move his pieces, yet make a plan to win. But you can see that he's sort of making it, because you can see that he's taking this pawn, and he can make sort of like reinforcements. And this idea I really like, because there's no way that when I take my knight and my king is gonna get back in time to get to the g pawn. So he queen, and I'm not gonna lose yet, although if he plays reasonably well, I should be losing. Just like hang on to the h pawn, make like a rook or a queen or something, and just like the rook roller mate or something like that. So he is getting the right idea at the beginning, but after a few checks, right here, he could have just like took the e pawn or something, and then like threatened my knight, and there's all kinds of good things he can do. But played king here. He went down here, takes, trade up pawns. He took this pawn, and the idea is your queen can't checkmate alone. Your king, of course, can't checkmate alone. You need these two to work together, like something like I don't know, like the queen pins the knight, the king puts pressure on the knight so that you win the knight, or something like that. And you can see my knight and my king, they're sort of like doing the same thing, right? The knight is restricting the king's movement. Number one is the knight is controlling the squares. And number 2, it's sort of controlling the squares where the king can move because you might get forked. Like, for example, right, well, not right here, right with a lot of like places, like, he can't like move anywhere because of the forking. Of course, you don't want to get forked. Like right here, he can't. His queen can't move to c7 to try to like threaten my knight and go behind my king because, well, there's like to e6 and wait for you. So queen here, king back, queen here, king back, queen here, which was a bad idea because knight to h5. I finally got a fork, and draw because I can't checkmate with the knight. He can't checkmate with the king, and as you can see, it's 22 seconds left. And from what I remember, there was from the analysis, there was like a mate in 6, like because something like, I don't know, like queen to like g5, and because if your king and queen work together, there is no way my knight can stand up to your king and your king and your queen. But still, he took a little too much time at the beginning. You can see this 81 move game. I'm not expecting him to have too much time at the end, but it doesn't really matter. What really does matter was that I went from a completely losing position to a drawing one.